Hi. I don't know if you've ever seen this show. It's called Family Guy. Right here I have Season 3, Volume 2 of the DVD. As you see on the cover, there's a picture of Lois, Chris, Stewie, Peter, Brian, and Meg. They're like the cast of the show. Peter and Brian are played by Seth MacFarlane, and Stewie, he does the voice of them. Chris is by Seth Green. Lois is from Alex Borstein, and the Meg person is from that 70s show. I don't know her name. It's like Eva something. So on the cover of the DVDs, if you look inside, it's got a picture of Peter on the first DVD. This one is episodes 1 through 8. That's fantastic. If you look at the second part, it's got a picture of Stewie. This is episodes 7 through 16. The third disc has a picture of Brian, the dog, who has episodes 17 through 21. Those are all Season 3. This is Volume 2 sees the return of America's most outrageous animated family with 21 episodes plus a never before seen episode when you wish upon a Weinstein, because that episode was banned from being played because it has too many like Jewish slurs in it, so they didn't play it. They put it in the DVD, and after the DVD came out, they actually aired it. I don't know why that happened. In this hilarious final volume, the Griffin family faces all. You see, it says the final volume because this show was actually canceled when they released this DVD. But they're making new episodes now, so that's good, I guess, if you like the show. There's lots of bonus features. It's presented in Dolby Digital surround sound, and has it's on a dual layer disc. It's from 20th Century Fox. You can go to www.foxtvdvd.com. It has an FBI warning for like a copying or something, but this is an actual copy. If you look on the back, if you get the super high resolution version of this video, you'll be able to see all the binary code and you'll be able to copy it. But I don't think I'm going to release that version because that would be piracy, and I'm not doing that. And it's a great DVD. The side it says Volume 2, Season 3. This is a television series that airs on Fox and Comedy Central's Adult Swim and TBS sometimes, and probably some other places. I don't really know. The episodes in this season include The Thin White Line, Part 1, Brian Does Hollywood, Mr. Griffin Goes to Washington, 1 If by Chame, 2 If by Sea, and the whiner is Death Lives, Lethal Weapons, The Kiss Seen Around the World, Mr. Saturday Nights, Fish Out of Water, Mission Possible, To Live and Die in Dixon, Screwed, The Pooch, Peter Griffin, Husband, Father, Brother, Ready, Willing, and Disabled, A Very Special Family Guy Freaking Christmas, Brian Wallows and Peter Swallows, from Method to Madness, Stuck Together, Torn Apart, Road to Europe, Family Guy, Viewer Mail number 1, and When You Wish Upon a Weinstein. And that's the episode that didn't air, because you didn't know that. Each episode is about 30 minutes when it airs with commercials. It's about between like 21 and 25 without them. The first episode this season, A Thin White Line, is when Brian takes his therapist's advice and starts helping others by doing volunteer work. Peter wins a paid vacation to work, and the family prepares for going on a cruise. Noticing that Brian's nose has a great strength, Joe offers him a job as a police dog to search for drugs, but Brian becomes so successful at sniffing for them that he becomes addicted, and the Quahog Police Department has to stop him from becoming addicted to cocaine. Because of Brian's cocaine problems, Lois insists on canceling the family vacation to the Bahamas to help support Brian while he stops his cocaine addiction. Peter's very disappointed that the vacation has been canceled, so he decides to tag along with Brian when he sees the beautiful clinic. A therapist at the clinic tells Brian and Peter it's a bad idea for them to be around each other, although Brian defends Peter and leaves rehab in protest. Brian thinks that he needs time to stay with the Griffin family to find himself and leave Quahog for parts unknown. So at the end of this episode, right after Stewie spit in Brian's face in the car, I think it said to be continued because it's part 1 of this episode. This episode stars Seth Green, Alex Borstein, Mila Kunis, Seth MacFarlane, guest stars Thomas Darkin, June Foray, Leif Garrett, and Haley Joel Osment. Okay. The episode after that is Brian Does Hollywood. That's number 2 in the series, a season. This is where Brian goes to Hollywood. In this episode, Brian is a struggling screenwriter in Hollywood, which really means he's a waiter and washing cars. Brian's cousin introduces the Lost Dog to a local producer who offers Brian a job directing a porno. Meanwhile, Stewie has a successful audition for Kids Say the Darndest Things and plots to use hypnotizing glasses on national television to take over the world. The Griffins get a free trip to Los Angeles due to Stewie's TV appearance and come to visit Brian at work. Brian is ashamed of his working as a porn director and tries to hide it from the family, leading them to believe that he makes them believe that he's a stuck-up Hollywood big shot. Brian is miserable when he is nominated for a Woody Award for porn directing. He can't share it with the family. Luckily, Brian's cousin calls the Griffins and tells them about the award. Brian's family shows up to support him, and then they all go to the Woodies. He realizes that it was a mistake to leave Quahog, so Stewie plots to foil the world and take it over. But Bill Cosby unwillingly takes the hypnotizing glasses from the young boy and hypnotizes Stewie into being a complacent kid. This was directed by Gavin Dell and Gary something. Episode 3 is Mr. Griffin Goes to Washington. This is the third episode in the season. So Peter's Toy Company gets bought by the El Dorado Cigarette Company, and the toys are then used to market cigarettes to children. When Peter takes Lois's advice to confront the new bosses about the evil use of the toys, Peter gets promoted to president to shut him up. Lois, pleased with all the perks that come with Peter's new position, keeps her mouth shut while Brian quits smoking in protest. Peter's bosses send him to Washington to lobby against the bill that would put them out of business because they figure politicians would be able to relate to the big dumb fat guy. When Lois finds Stewie smoking a cigarette, she goes down to Washington to stop Peter from doing what he's going to end up doing, from what the El Dorado Cigarette Company told him to do. So the El Dorado Cigarette Company gets fined $100 million, and at the end, Brian helps himself to a cigarette as the family drives away. This episode was directed by Ricky Blitt. It was written by Ricky Blitt and directed by Brian Hogan. The fourth episode in this season is One If by Clam, Two If by Sea. When a hurricane strikes Quahog, everything is destroyed, including the Drunken Clam, which is a local pub that the citizens attend for their drinking purposes. It's bought by a British company who turns it into an English pub. As it happens, the pub owner, Nigel Pinchley, and his family move next door to the Griffins. And Stewie tries to teach Nigel's Cockney accent's 3-year-old daughter how to speak proper English. That was a great episode, and the fifth episode in the series is the wiener is this episode. Peter joins a gun club by when he takes Chris on a father-son hunting trip. Takes Brain, not Braun, to save them. Meanwhile, Meg finds herself the target of the cool kids' wrath of school. This episode, we find out that Chris has a very large penis, and Peter is very jealous of that. In the sixth episode, Death Lives, when Peter sets up a distracting scavenger hunt, Lois has to figure it out for their thing. That's it. It's a great season.